Uh, So the first comment on the screen, masks remain to be under use by staff. I know we can't enforce them, but how can we as parents and leaders better encourage the use of masks? That has been part of our ongoing challenge because we don't have a mask mandate here in the district. I think as what we do as district leaders and as campus principals, we communicate infection rates and communicate the best mitigation strategies that we can use to help prevent the spread of the disease. I think part of the biggest challenge for teachers, especially teachers in the lower grades, that it is extremely challenging to teach and be an effective communicator with the mask, because our children rely so much on our ability to communicate and everything that we do with our facial features, and especially again with speech and pronunciation and enunciation. Children rely on that. But we continue to push that as leaders. We try to model that. I know anytime I'm on a campus, I've got that mask on for modeling purposes, but we will continue to push that drumbeat with the masks. Can parents help in the classroom? Yes, we would love to have parents help in the classroom. And right now, because of the high infection rate, we have no visitors to the campuses, but we may have to revisit that, especially if the parents coming in are vaccinated and can assist with covering classrooms. That's something that we can lift as a district to get that additional help in the classroom. Yes, definitely lots of kudos to all of the parents who are supporting in every way possible. We've got PTA groups that are delivering hot chocolate to the campuses and just food to the campuses for the staff, and lots of support coming through from our parents, and we really appreciate that. Will virtual be an option? Okay, this is a great question, and that's one of the questions that we will be addressing in the update to our parents and staff tomorrow, because there's a lot of confusion about this. And I know we've put it out in communication since August, but it's hard for folks to understand. Virtual instruction is not an option for us in this school year. There is a superintendent group. As a matter of fact, the Central Texas superintendents and the Williamson County superintendents have been working on a policy statement, not a policy statement, but on a statement to that's going to the commissioner for consideration, because we have virtual instruction. We can offer virtual instruction as a way for kids to stay up with work, for kids to make up work. But for us to say close the district or close the campus and tell everybody that we're going to go on virtual instruction so that we don't lose those days, that is no longer allowable this year. The state has made in-person instruction the mode of operation for this coming school year. So even if we were to close, we as a school system would offer virtual work for kids, but those days, those instructional minutes would not count. And therefore we would have to, depending on how many minutes we can spare, because we do have some banked minutes. So if we closed for a day or two, we may be able to recover and not have to make up those days. We normally save them for February because that's when we really have the inclement weather, and we're iced in and we can't operate. So we use those banked instructional minutes for those inclement weather days. But if, for example, if we just got to a crisis point, and we're getting close, if we got to a crisis point where we didn't have enough people to operate and we had to close for 4 or 5 days, if you're going to close for infection purposes so that the infection rate can come down, then we as a district would have to extend the school calendar and make up those instructional days, because we would not be able to capture them. They would not count as, they wouldn't count as contract days for our staff or instructional minutes for the kids, and we would have to make up those days. The next one, the new guidance from TEA sounds concerning. If staff are able to return after 5 days, if an asymptomatic, could they still be contagious? Yes, they can be. If they return before the 10 days, even if they're symptomatic, they're still considered contagious. And one of the requirements for them to be able to come back before the 10 days would be that they would have to wear masks continuously throughout the days 6 through 10. So again, because we're not a mask enforcement district, these employees would have to commit and agree to be completely masked up for days 6 through 10 if they came back to campus. So how does this help prevent the spread of COVID-19? It does not, unless if those people come back early, they have to take every precaution possible, maintain social distance, wash hands continuously, and of course, be completely masked up. This seems very irresponsible to me if the goal is to keep everyone healthy. Will Hutto ISD continue to promote this new return policy, or will the negative COVID test be required to return? So we don't require a negative test to return for staff. However, we do screen the staff. As a matter of fact, yesterday we had several people that were eligible to come back because they were at that 5-day mark, but they were still experiencing symptoms. They were screened. And so we told them, thank you for trying, but you need to go back home. You can't return until after the 10 days. So while it may seem irresponsible, I think the Texas Education Agency adopted, this is a recommendation from the CDC. And this recommendation was out there even before the holidays. We as a safety team met the Saturday before we were to come back on January the 3rd. And so we as a district at that time decided to keep our 10-day policy. However, the reality of coming back to school hit that very first week. So when we met again on January the 7th and the new guidance from the Texas Education Agency came through, we've met this week and we've decided, just because we need staff, if staff are asymptomatic and they're able to come back, we need them because again, the more people we have back, the more that we can continue to keep schools open. So it's a balancing act. I wouldn't view this as irresponsible. I would view it as an option that we have to be able to bring folks back if they're asymptomatic and they're not experiencing symptoms, they don't feel ill. We can use them in the classroom, but again, they have agreed to abide by the safety measures as well. A parent commented, I'm okay with extending the year to lower the transmission now. Thank you for that. That is definitely high on our consideration list, and we may be at that point very, very soon. Can you please clarify how the district is quantifying safely staff as a decision point for closing campuses? It's different for every campus depending on how many staff members they have. If we have enough qualified, responsible adults to be in front of children so that we have enough supervision and we have enough people to feed the kids in the cafeteria, then we make that determination almost on a daily basis with our principals. I don't understand how 45 kids in a classroom, because classes are combined, is considered safe given the prevalence of airborne viruses on campuses. Yes, we are combining classrooms using up every seat possible, because that's the only option that we have right now in order to be able to keep our schools in operation. We do have all of our buildings, and I realize it's an airborne virus, but we've invested quite a bit of money in air circulation systems, air purifying systems in our buildings. And we're really trying to work with our teachers in making sure the kids are washing their hands, keeping them out of their face and their eyes and mouth. It is extremely challenging. Again, especially when we've got to combine classes. I wouldn't dispute that at all. Trish, it's very concerning. I have a kindergartner and I know how hard it is for him to keep a mask on every day. So is there something being done in the classrooms to social distance kids as much as possible? I know classrooms aren't that big, but what precautions are being taken in classrooms? I think to the extent possible, they are trying to separate them. They're not, you're right. Our classrooms do not allow even especially for the little ones, for everyone to be spread out the entire time. That is part of the ongoing challenge. The other piece here is that now that vaccines are readily available, we understand the pandemic, this virus is going to be around just like the flu from here on in. It is going to be something that we're going to have to continue to mitigate and to work with. And I realize that we have a large segment of the population that is still not in favor of vaccinating the kids, but that is one of the mitigation strategies. And one of the options that the state has given us or has really relies on in order to keep the kids safe. What we're seeing with this particular virus, kids are going to continue to get sick. If you're vaccinated, you have just your chances of not experiencing serious symptoms are just that much less if you're vaccinated. And granted, we do have children that cannot receive a vaccine, and though we have to work with those families and those kids in making sure that they're wearing masks, that we're trying to keep them safe in the classroom and giving them space. So that's part of the reason that we hold back on closing. Here in the fall, some of you probably experienced this, we were still closing classrooms this fall when infection rates got to 10% in our elementary schools because the vaccine was not available. But we did stop closing classrooms at the secondary level because the kids at that particular age level could be 12 and over, could be vaccinated. Again, which is why we held back on closing classrooms and closing campuses. At this point, if we made a decision to close, it would be because we didn't have enough staff. Recent communication from the district has put a pause on volunteers in the schools. However, given the staffing shortages, will the district reconsider this so volunteers can help our teachers and campuses, such as classroom activity help for larger combined classes where teachers are out helping drop off? Yes, I think so. Thank you for that, Cheney, that we're going to need every possible assistance that we can garner in order to keep classes going. Part of our reason, again, for keeping visitors from the campuses was just to try to shut down that transmission if folks were infected. Ms. Hubbard, did you have a question?
No, ma'am. I just wanted to say, I think the overwhelming theme that we hear over and over and over again is that our campuses are doing absolutely everything they can to stay open, and our staff are working very hard. The community support is really critical right now, but we're being forced to make decisions that are truly impossible decisions. We want to keep the schools open. we know that this is what allows the economy to continue going. We have so many working families. To your point, Dr. Thomas, our first responders have to get to work, and if their kiddos don't have a safe place to be during the day, it has a huge impact on all of these things. And so I just wanted to say, like, this is an example where public schools have such a huge impact on everyone's daily lives. This is where a lot of students come to get most of their only meals for the day. This is their safe place to be, not only for learning, but in general, a safe place for them to be during the day while their parents at work. And so just know that none of these decisions are being made lightly. And I know that it's hard. It's the transportation issue, I know, is a huge hardship on a lot of families, but we are just stretching and bending every way we can to make sure that we can keep the buildings open.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mrs. Hubbard. Are you able to, I don't understand, assess what impact the attendance had on the lack of transportation? So our attendance usually runs around 96%. The attendance for this week has been in the upper 80s. It's been at 88, 89. So we are feeling the impact of the attendance, but I have to tell you, the attendance had been around those numbers even right before the holidays, the latter part of December, when the number of kids getting sick was going up. So it's been hovering close to 90%, but we are well off our mark of 96 to 97%. Since volunteers are not held to the TEA guidance around masking and vaccination, these could be requirements for volunteers to make it as safe as possible. Yes, definitely. If we lifted that no visitors to campus, but allow volunteers to come in, we would ask them definitely if they agree to volunteer, if they would be willing to wear a mask and, of course, screen before they come in, just like they were doing before January. The mask would definitely be something that we would ask of them. Hutto Middle School is requiring 6th graders outdoor time at lunch. Can we lift this for now and let them outside? Oh, it's requiring, oh, I guess they don't let them eat outside. Can we let them outside? Better put tables outside. It's a beautiful day today. Yes, I would hope. We purchased quite a few picnic tables for all of the campuses for this very purpose. I can tell you that part of the reason sometimes that the kids aren't allowed out is because they don't have enough, they don't even have somebody, an adult that they can send outside to supervise the kids. I know that's been part of a challenge, but again, if they're outside, that would be a perfect way for some of our parents to help bring lunch. If they would be willing to supervise the kids so that they can go outside. It is going to be a beautiful day today. So I will, I'll reach out to Mr. McCullough and, well, all of our principals, remind them that it's going to be beautiful today and tomorrow. Eating outside would be perfect. I may even join them myself.
I'll jump in and also share just a shout out. Thank you to the central office team, to the instruction and curriculum team, to everybody in administration on College Street for being willing to forego the work they have at the moment to go help out at the campuses. I mean, you guys are doing double duty there and volunteering to do that. So just like Morgan said, everybody is bending and stretching and trying to do whatever they can, to keep our kids educated, to keep them in school, and, appreciate people you guys coming on the table talk this morning and sharing your thoughts and asking your questions so you can get a direct answer from the people who are doing the job every day. It's really appreciated, and know that your support is very meaningful also.
Thank you, Ms. Judas. So on the chat, we have, can you recap the transportation issue? Yes, so transportation obviously will, we won't be able to bring the routes back this week. We are meeting with our transportation folks later this afternoon, because our goal is to get an update to our parents and our staff. Many of our staff have their children with us. Get an update out by noon tomorrow. So we're going to consider different options for our transportation. And while I have everyone here, the number of staff out today is still the same number that we had on Monday. A lot of them are scheduled to come back, but the majority of our transportation folks are, I wouldn't say elderly, they're our older population. So when they get ill, it takes them a little bit longer to recover and really get healthy. So we're extremely sensitive, trying to apply the 5-day return to a group that needs those extra days to really get well is something that we've got to really keep in mind for them. We may consider reinstating certain routes, even if we can't go district-wide. Now, how we make those decisions is going to depend on the number of bus riders to certain campuses, correct? Obviously, if we can get enough of a workforce to at least start providing transportation to a segment of our campuses, rather than just canceling all of them, we may take that approach. But just kind of giving you some thoughts about what we're considering at this point. Again, we're going to sit down with our transportation people this afternoon and really look at what is feasible. How many people are we going to expect to be able to come back by Tuesday, January the 18th? And what segments of the transportation services can we put back in operation? The answer to the question, yes, we are taking an impact. We are taking a hit to the attendance, where we normally have attendance rates in the upper 90s, 96, 97. We celebrate when we hit 97% attendance. It has been running in the upper 80s. Our lowest attendance this week was on Monday with 86%. Then it's been hovering right at 88%. And this does affect what we in the school business call ADA, which is average daily attendance. And that's how schools are funded, through average daily attendance. Thank you. Yes, ditto to the appreciation of the flexibility for the staff. I see Joe everywhere. Yes, Joe and Stephen get pulled everywhere. They've done everything from kindergarten to physics, I think. Yes, thank you. Everyone's doing a great job. And I really do want to shout out to our parents, because they have just been fantastic on the traffic lines. I saw there was a lady who was interviewed by one of the news stations that I saw on Monday night. She was a medical care worker, because I could tell she was in scrubs. And she made a comment about, I don't know if I'm in the right line or not, but I'm in a line. And when I get to the front, I hope they give me my child. But she said it with a smile on her face. And, you know, she was just kind of rolling with the flow. And I think that's really what we need from our community. Thank you. Yes, y'all are doing awesome. Can't imagine being in your position during this tumultuous time. You are so appreciated. Thank you. Thank you for that. So in the meantime, in the midst of all of this turmoil with COVID and absences, know that there's a lot of just continuous work that's taking place behind the scenes. January, especially for our secondary campuses, lots of planning taking place with course selections and getting ready for fifth graders going to middle school, eighth graders going to the ninth grade center, and getting all of our kids ready for those secondary options. So watch out for those communications from our counseling staff and those parent sessions, those parent information sessions about the options for our kids. Again, especially as they get into secondary, especially as they get into high school, and the CTE, that's career, technical, and education options that are available for kids. We're really making tremendous headway in that area. The number of certifications that our kids are picking up just across the gamut, those numbers continue to increase every year, and it's really one of our pride points for us, are the number of certifications that our students, our high school students, are earning. They're going to have some great life career skills as they graduate from high school. So all of that work, in spite of our challenges, continues behind the scenes. Ms. Hubbard, yes, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Ms. Gass. She is doing so many amazing things with the 18+ program. Yes, I would definitely second that. So Ms. Allison Gass, she was our teacher of the year at one time when I first came onto the district, does some amazing work with our special needs children. I know she's kind of put a pause on her 18 Connect cafe, but she's got those kids produce some great meals, and they go out and sell those. And I know that she would love to expand that option to other parts of the district, but yes, doing some great things with our kids. From Ms. Catherine, appreciate everything the Hutto ISD is during this difficult time. Everything that's being done is greatly appreciated. Thank you. So appreciate all of the willingness to volunteer. I will definitely put that into consideration as we send out that update for tomorrow, especially the monitoring that could happen during lunch, so that our kids can be spread out. We have a couple of good days. I know we've got cold weather coming back into the picture next week, but hopefully we only have a few weeks of this horrible winter weather. But I mean, we actually need some of this. We need some of these freezes to kill all of the bugs. Mr. De Leon, Mr. Balderas, do you have any announcements to make about parent engagement sessions that you've got planned or coming up on the calendar that we can share with our parents?
Yes, just keep an eye out. We'll be doing a session for dads and start getting dads involved. Another reminder is we're excited that you want to help volunteer. So just make sure you go to the webpage under Parent and Family Engagement and fill out that application. So when you check in, you can get your badge and you'll be ready to go. So that's exciting to hear, parents. We want to help.
Good reminder. Thank you. After 4 days of driving my children to 3 different conferences, I love having the Hutto ISD Police and the Hutto PD for traffic guidance. Yes, that should have been one of my shout outs at the very beginning. Shout out to our police force and even our fire department as well. So over the weekend, when we had to make that decision about transportation, we immediately reached out to our city officials, our interim city manager, and Chief Edwards reached out to Chief Stewart. And so on Monday morning, we've had police out there helping with the traffic congestion. And so I think all of that community support and that community partnership just speaks volumes for everybody pulling together and helping to ensure that we can operate our schools. So yes, thank you for acknowledging that. Quick shout out to Veterans Hill staff. The drop off has been smooth, even with increased traffic, only a few minutes long. Love staff faces out there. Definitely all hands on deck. And you know, and Veterans Hill has a brand new principal. I mean, his first day was on January the 3rd. So thank you for that shout out. I'll make sure we let Mr. Johnson know out there. And you know, this has been, I've received a couple of emails from Howard Norman, from Hutto Middle School, from Farley Middle School, just parents giving a shout out to the principals for having teachers and staff all out on duty, helping with car riders, helping unload kids. Yes, definitely what it takes. Do we have a junior achievement program? I don't know, no, I don't think so, Miss Ashley. I'm familiar with that, the junior achievement program, but I don't think we don't have those in our district. I would love to have them. So definitely something to think about. Thank you for that. I'll make a note and see what it I remember I participated as a student many years ago, obviously. But we should, I know it was very, very worthwhile. And anything like that we need for our kids. Yes, we are thankful for the partnership in our police forces. Oh, there's a link on the chat to register for volunteer. So that is one of the things as we get folks, I know people are well-meaning and they want to volunteer, but it's not one of those things that can be done on the spur of the moment. Obviously, if you're going to be around children, you've got to go through that background check and just make sure that anybody that we allow onto our campuses, even as desperate as we are, we have to ensure safety for our kids. We can't have some Yahoo just walking on the campus pretending to be a volunteer and have that person cause harm to our kids. This is from Casey. Around Christmas, we did the volunteer applications for the non-supervised, but they were all run as supervised. We were told HES something had happened with the system. Do we redo applications? Want to make sure we are ready to assist when needed. Oh, Mr. De Leon, do you know the answer to that? Or Cassie, do you know the answer to that?
I think Joe and their department may, but I think that I don't know when the rollover happened, but I think they may need to reapply. But I think Joe and Stephen might be able to check the system to see if they're registered in there.
Okay.
Can y'all speak to that?
Yes, they can send me an email at jose.deleon@huddleisd.net, and I can check to see. I know there was during the break, I guess Raptor did an update, so some things ended up missing, and we seem to be able to have recovered everything from them. But yeah, if you haven't heard anything back yet, definitely send me an email and I can check that out.
And Ms. Cassie, thank you for remembering. She also put a link on there to apply as a substitute teacher. We could really use you there. And I love the media. If you turn on any of the news channels right now, they're asking for substitute teachers across the state of Texas, across Central Texas. But obviously we want the subs for Hutto ISD. And if any of you wish to pursue a career in teaching, we can put you in contact with Dr. Almquist and she will get you started. If you already, especially if you already have a bachelor's degree, We've got some great programs to get you into training. And if you start substituting, again, great experiences to get you ready for those assignments. Yes, another shout out, pickup and drop off has been smooth sailing. Huge shout out to the staff for keeping it moving, even in frigid temps. Yep. Oh, and there's Joe's email address, jose.deleon@huttoisd.net. What is the expectation of time, days per week, month to be a substitute teacher? If there really is none, obviously we love it when people are available every day, but we have people that sub on their days off. We have people that only sub certain days of the week. We have people that only sub for certain positions. I ran into a retired choir teacher on Tuesday when I was over at the 9th grade center. And she wasn't there to sub that particular day, but she stopped and introduced herself to me. She only subs for choir teachers. And I thought to myself, how fantastic. That way the kids, because normally if a choir teacher is out and a sub comes in, a sub's not going to have the ability to lead a choir. But this particular retired teacher only subs for choir directors. She knows our choir teacher and she keeps the lessons going. I said, how fantastic. Thank you so much. So we can help you fill niches. There are some people that only want to sub as the front office receptionist. And that's great. I know at Flea coming back to school last week, the entire front office was wiped out with illness. And so we needed people to answer the phone and receive parents and run the front office. So we can work all sorts of arrangements for people. I think sometimes folks think that there is no way I could deal with a high school student, or there is no way I could deal with a kindergarten student. We will set you up for success and let you be with the age group of kids or in a setting that appeals to your skill set. So I don't think that's common knowledge out there. Again, I think people assume they're going to be assigned to a room of chaotic teenagers or chaotic first graders, and that's not really the case. The little ones are the most lovable. It's like herding cats, but they are extremely lovable. And teenagers just want respect. And I think I can speak for our kids. They do a really, they treat people well. Great to know about the flexibility with subbing. Thanks for those details. Good, you're welcome.
And I just wanted to point out too, the link that I shared one specific one for the, it's called, and like Joe pointed out, it's called guest educator. I think they added substitute teacher on it now because that's what people are used to calling it. But the one I shared was the non-certified. And we also have a certified sub position available to apply for, and that one pays more. And there's also substitute positions for crossing guards, bus monitors, food service, health office, custodians. So if you go to our employment page, all those are available.
Okay. Thank you, Cassie. Yeah, comment from Casey. When I was a sub, 4th, 5th grade were my absolute favorite. Yep. And full transparency and honesty, when I go to sub, I love going to the high school, the middle school. That was kind of my world. I kind of get scared when they tell me they need help in a kindergarten class. I'll go, but that's tough. I think kindergarten teachers and first grade teachers are saints because they've got tough jobs. Oh, crossing guards. Yes, Miss Erica, thank you. Sign me up. The crossing guard is great. You get to say good morning and greet all the kids and then wish them a great evening on the way home. So some of those crossing guards are phenomenal. I love running into Brad over at Hutto Middle School. Oh my gosh, he always has a great shout out and a kind word for the kids and the parents. I think all the parents know him. I think that creates that sense of safety and familiarity and just that familial feel when you've got crossing guards like Brad. Yes, 10 years, Miss Hubbard. Yeah, been there a long time. Okay, we're coming up close on the closing for our table talk. We would love the opportunity to take these table talks back to coffee shops. But I can tell you, after being at the restaurants and the coffee shops, I'd love to do a combination this spring. I love being able to sit across the table and speak to someone directly. But I feel that since we've been doing the online table talks, I love the fact that we've really had some much higher attendance. So I think we'll continue to do a combination of them so that people have an option. The next one we should probably do in the early evening and maybe even catch people on the way home from work. I see a couple of PTA moms on the screen. Thank you all so much for working with the PTAs, getting them organized, maintaining contact with our parents. Such a great group of moms and dads who work with our PTAs. So thank you for that. All right, from our district folks, any other last comments or any other burning questions from our parents?
So I'm not a district folk, but I just wanted to give a shout out to the 9th grade center. Miss Griffin is like the volunteer coordinator, and she is working really hard to get some great activities started over there. If anybody happens to know of a DJ that has a very generous spirit, I know that she wants to hear who that person is, specifically on, is it February 18th, Erica?
That is correct. We need that person.
Yes, we desperately need that person, whoever they are.
Hey, Erica, send me an email, and I know a really generous DJ. He used to be an officer for Hutto ISD, so
He's not
We love
available.
it.
We've already tried that.
Well, I have a DJ named DJ that just said that he would do it. He would volunteer to do it. So
All right,
I
make
will
it
have to
happen.
reach out.
Okay, very
All
good.
right, Cassandra, I've got 2 things for you. I'm going to reach out on the DJ, and then I need to get my crossing guard gear.
perfect.
All right.
Okay, one last ask. I know we ask a lot of our community. Sometime before Friday, if you can give a shout out to an administrator, a staff member, a teacher this week, send them a note, send them an email. Just let them know that you've noticed their extra effort the last couple of weeks. I think that goes such a long way. Folks don't realize the impact that you have on another human being when you acknowledge their work, and not necessarily anything generic, but something specific that you've seen them do that really speaks to their passion and their love for what they do on behalf of kids and for their division in Hutto ISD. So if I can ask that of you, that would be awesome. And if you don't get to it this week, maybe over the weekend for Tuesday, just pick anybody on a campus. It can only be just one person. And trust me, you're going to make their day, you're going to make their evening. And it's just going to give them that extra jump in their step to keep going and come back the next day. So thank you to all of you. Have a great weekend, and I hope most of you are going to enjoy the long MLK weekend. Get those fires going and enjoy the winter weather, because we've really been missing it. Okay, thank you, Hippo Nation.